Harvard-trained researcher Shanti Feldhahn works with her husband Jeff to help people with their marriages and relationships. At one point, this Atlanta-based couple believed and shared information that most marriages are unhappy, and 50% of them end in divorce, even in the church.
I didn't know. I've stood up on stage and said every one of these wrong statistics.
Then 8 years ago, Shanti asked her assistant for specific research on divorce for an article she was writing. Neither of them could find any real numbers, and that kicked off a personal and long crusade to find the truth. And it was a revelation, as she reveals in her book, The Good News About Marriage.
First-time marriages, probably about 20 to 25% have ended in divorce on average. Now, okay, that's still too high, right? But it's a whole lot better than what people think it is.
Shanti and Jeff point out the 50% figure came from projections of what researchers thought the divorce rate would become.
But the divorce rate has been dropping. We've never hit those numbers. We've never gotten close.
So imagine the implications of this. Half of marriages do not end in divorce. They never have. So the chances of yours making it aren't a measly 50-50. They're more like 70, 75, 80%. That can give couples a lot of hope. And hope is often the fuel a marriage needs to survive and even thrive. Shanti says hopelessness itself can actually lead to divorce.
That sense of futility itself pulls down marriages. And the problem is we have this culture-wide feeling of futility about marriage.
Christian psychotherapist Angel Davis agrees.
The Bible says hope deferred, it makes our heart sick. And we are so influenced by numbers and by culture.
And it's based on all these discouraging beliefs that many of them just aren't true.
Jeff Feldhahn says anytime he tells people about his wife's findings, they're stunned.
Their mouth drops open and they're just shocked because they go, I can't believe I believed this all these years. And I've heard it so many times, and I've heard it from the pulpit so many times.
This is a great chance to stand up and say, we were all fooled, not anymore.
To that end, Shanti's been working to spread this news to pastors and other leaders as fast as she can. It totally changed Virginia pastor Daniel Floyd's counseling because he had bought into fictional research.
I told her, I said, I've said this, I've taught this.
He's sure it will change a generation of marriage counseling.
I think it's significant and could change the conversation from one that is, wow, it's just the way it is, and half of you are going to make it, half of you are not, and change the conversation to know historically, overwhelming majority have made it, and you can make it.
We know in psychology that what you believe affects how you feel, and then it leads to actions. So when other people are accomplishing something we think is hopeless, it gives us hope. And then we start feeling different and then start acting different.
Shanti says a majority of us believe only about 30% of marriages are happy.
Most people think most marriages are just kind of just kind of rolling along. And they're shocked when I tell them that the actual average is 80%. 80% of marriages are happy.
Not knowing that often leads couples to avoid marriage and just shack up instead.
Like, if I'm just going to get divorced and I'm not going to be happy, why bother getting married, right? And it's based on a lie. That feeling is based on a lie.
Pastor Floyd says these new facts can be a game changer.
I think really helps people in the challenging moments to say, if I'll just stick with it, then there's a good chance I'm going to make it the distance.
With hope, you feel that you can make it through, even though you're in a tough patch.
And Shanti agrees the numbers prove most of the unhappily married can turn it around.
The studies show that if they stay married for 5 years, that almost 80% of those will be happy 5 years later.
The Good News About Marriage reveals more, like the fact the divorce rate among those active in their church is 27 to 50% lower than among non-churchgoers. Shanti's hope is that once people learn the truth, that they will spread it far and wide.
We need to change the paradigm of how we think and talk about marriage, from marriage being in trouble and all this discouraging stuff to saying, no, wait. Most marriages are strong and happy for a lifetime. That makes a total difference to a couple's feeling that, you know what, most people get through this and we can too.
Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Atlanta.